Hello, fantastic people. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's been about a month since I did my video on AI, and I thought that we should do an update. A lot's happened in the last month. If you didn't catch my previous video, I would go check it out. I know it's a lot of information, but there's some really pertinent information that I think will help you navigate in today's world. Here's a quick little snippet.
Hopefully the UN can play a constructive role, and it will also be one of the early projects under AI. Let's see how good it is, because a lot of people are saying it could be one of the great things ever, but it also can be dangerous, but it can be put to tremendous use and tremendous good, and this would be an example of that.
So certainly a lot has happened in the last month, especially in the world of technology. I have discovered so much about artificial intelligence. It's a bit overwhelming. Check this out.
This month in AI has been absolutely wild. OpenAI ignited outrage with its boldest and most controversial GPT-6 move yet. China stunned the world with self-evolving humanoids that move with real human intuition. Then did it again with the unbelievably lifelike Unitree H2. The AI robot war officially kicked off as Optimus Gen 3 went head-to-head with the upgraded Unitree G1. Meanwhile,
Seems like AI is just another elitist game. This AI race is just more elitist games. They're not rushing programs that are saving human lives or saving humans money even. What exactly is going on with this AI movement? These AI war, AI race, whatever you want to call it. Because the more and more I've researched artificial intelligence, the more and more I view it as a means of dominion via depopulation. In my previous video, I had stated that there were, at that point, either 2 or 3 AI-related deaths. I was wrong. Here I was thinking this whole time that AI was new. It's not. It's not new. Not in the slightest bit. In one of the videos I watched, I learned that AI was created to be overly agreeable. I'm not sure I understand the benefit of that, outside of just making it more likable and trustworthy. As far as true artificial intelligence goes, I feel like this is almost like a soft launch to the latest AI. Like they're making it trustworthy at this point. Making it seem, well, they've been making it seem normal for a long time now. They've been integrating us into the AI system for decades. We just weren't really aware of it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Another thing they've been normalizing too, in which they are incorporating into AI for the public use, is pornography. We have seen pornography on TV in shows like Game of Thrones, or what are they, Handmaids, whatever, that satanic Scientology TV show. It's gotten so normalized that parents are watching these types of shows with their kids. I mean, even if their kids are adults, you're still watching sexual scenes and soft pornography with your children. I remember my sister wanted to have a Game of Thrones night, like a family night. We invited our parents. Luckily, I didn't even like Game of Thrones, so I said no, but I mean, I couldn't imagine sitting in a room with my dad and watching some of these sex scenes on these TV shows. I mean, pornography's totally been normalized. We actually have a pornography epidemic in this country, especially a child porn epidemic. Do you know America is ranked #1 for child pornography production? And here we have pornography and AI. Watch this.
Back to OpenAI's roadmap, the adult content plan was clarified again in a set of posts. Altman said the team initially made ChatGPT restrictive to reduce mental health harms, that they now believe better tools let them loosen for verified adults without loosening safeguards for minors or people at risk, and that erotica was just one example of giving adults more control. He also said users will be able to tune how human the model sounds, from reserved to...
So satanic pornographic chats are yet another transitionatory component of transhumanism, just like transgender movement. So they normalize the changing of your gender, which is so extreme. I can't even believe that they were able to normalize that with so many human beings. So they normalize transgender to prepare us for transhumanism. This is a transition, right? So they're transitioning us. They did it with the transgender movement beforehand. This is an often used tool in the CIA and Nazi mind control playbook. Right? They use the media, they use movies, television, and music to normalize these things. This is how the CIA has weaponized the entertainment industry. And remember, their end game is depopulation. They talk about it all the time. And dominion. So as I said earlier, America is ranked #1 for child pornography. And kids today are being exposed to pornography, typically at around the age or by the age of 12 years old because of the internet. And they're not just being exposed to photographs like my generation were, if, somebody got their hands on a Playboy mag. But today's pornography and what kids can access on the internet very easily, even by accident. I've mistyped things or even put in certain word combinations that have brought me right to disgusting pornographic sites and imagery. So our kids are being exposed at a young age. We have all these different industries from modeling, fashion, beauty that are grooming our children. We have the entertainment industry, which is grooming kids. It's just absolutely disgusting. And now the latest advancement in AI is pornography, sex chatbots. If you look into these individuals who are helping Trump build this freaky AI empire that none of us even voted for, you see far too many of those involved in this AI takeover are associated with known pedophiles or have been accused themselves. If you don't know the heinous and horrifying consequences of pornography, well, you're going to find out. You have to understand that there is always a victim. And ignorance is never an excuse. Never an excuse. And if you do have an addiction to pornography, you can get help right now. There are tons of Christian-based programs for porn addiction that have helped countless men across our nation. What a lot of people don't understand about pornography is it's designed to make the viewer more deviant over time. And studies show that it actually causes domestic violence. Unfortunately, it also can cause sexual abuse of children. We can see through various cases of sexual abuse of children that the number one abuser is a stepfather and bio dad, biological father. And now we have Sam Altman, who's also launching his sex chatbot. So I decided to do a little bit of research into Sam Altman, and what I discovered is very disturbing, but not at all surprising. Of course, I always want to do a quick search to see if, a particular individual is associated with the occult, and of course, right away it comes up that his religion was Judaism. And we certainly know that a lot of Jews are involved in mysticism and satanic practices, but it goes on to say this about his religion. Born into a Jewish family, his philosophical and spiritual views are closely aligned with transhumanism and technological utopianism. They're using that transhumanism as a religion now. It's a religion now. It's going to be in the same category as Christianity. As is technological utopianism. How is that under religion? Let's go on a little bit more about him. This emerging Sam Altman religion is best described as transhumanism, a worldview that sees artificial superintelligence not just as a tool, but as a potential savior to solve humanity's greatest problems and lead us to a transcendent future. But that's not all that I read about Sam Altman. There were childhood allegations. In this article, states that in early 2025, shocking allegations surfaced when Altman's sister, Annie Altman, filed a lawsuit accusing him of sexual abuse during their childhood. She claimed the abuse began when she was around 3 years old and continued until she was 9, occurring within their Missouri home. Sam Altman and his family strongly denied the allegations, labeling them utterly untrue and attributing them to Annie's mental health struggles. Well, sexual abuse certainly does lead to mental health struggles. Nonetheless, the lawsuit cast a long shadow over Altman's personal and professional life, bringing intense media scrutiny and sparking debates about accountability in the tech industry when its leaders face such serious accusations. And of course, he's not the only one. We know that Les Wexner, who's building countless data centers in Ohio and possibly around the world, Les Wexner financed Jeffrey Epstein. So that is alleged, that sexual abuse. And if we find out Sam Altman, when he was born, which was 1985, and Annie Altman, age, she was born in 92, which would make him a teenager. See, if it just happened when she was young, when one child reached the point of self-awareness, which typically occurs at around the age 11, and they continue to sexually abuse a younger sibling, that to me is a changing point. It almost becomes a choice. Now, it often occurs because the older or the child doing the molestation was molested themselves. Especially with boys, we often see them repeating the same kind of abuse that they received. But when she was 3, if he's 9 years older than her, he already would have been, well, he would have been a teenager already. So he would have already had self-awareness when he was molesting her. And then to continue until she's 9, that would make him almost an adult and still molesting his little sister. So if what she's saying is true, that's absolutely disgusting. Anyway, let's move on, because that's a rabbit hole that, I hope that the courts get into, and I'm really not at the point now that I want to deep dive into Sam Altman molesting his little sister. So let's just continue on here with AI. I think what has concerned me the most about AI and what's prompted me to make these videos are the scientific studies that I talked about in my previous video that shows that AI leads to cognitive decline and has caused human deaths. And when I look into this more, I am absolutely shocked by what I find. Going back to the pornography, you can see that since our devices are spying on us, how if a child somehow gets access to these pornographic chats, I hope you can see how this could lead to victimization, exploitation of these children, and even recording and making of pornography through their own devices because of AI chatbots. There's so much potential harm to our children from this AI that more and more people need to focus on it and make videos about this and get the word out to parents, because we need to protect our children. Our children are living in a society that is so dangerous. They are all at risk. New research shows parents are major producers of child sexual abuse material. And that's really important to know as well, because that will play into this. I'm really fearful for the children. I hope everybody is praying and paying attention. Our children are at risk. Parental production of child sexual abuse material is a gendered form of abuse. Men were offenders in 90% of cases, and girls were victims in 84% of cases. Boys were victimized in 1/5 of cases, with multiple children abused in some cases. So it's a threat to all children, but predominantly girls. And this is just the production of pornography. 3 typical profiles of offending by parental figures emerged from our study. The biological partner offender, who forms adult relationships and has children of his own to exploit. The step or de facto parental offender, who forms a relationship with a woman and exploits her children or seeks to obtain children by some other means. And the sad fact is that online exploitation begins at home for many kids, and in those cases, their parents is the last person who can be trusted to keep them safe. One study of 150 adult survivors who indicated they had appeared in sexual abuse material as children found 42% identified their biological or adoptive stepfather as the primary offender. Child pornography and child sexual assault are, I believe, the biggest threats to our nation. This is the most egregious crime being committed in our nation today. And absolutely nobody talks about it. Analysis of interviews obtained from a random sample of 930 adult women in San Francisco revealed that 17%, or 1 out of approximately every 6 women who had a stepfather as a principal figure in her childhood years, was sexually abused by him. These are just the women who are admitting to it. And that reminds me of the first case that I learned about, the first AI-related death, was of a 76-year-old man who was lured out of his home by a flirtatious chatbot. She invited a retiree to meet, and he never made it because he died on his way there. But that wasn't the first case. This man was an elderly man from New Jersey, by the way, so this happened in America. This is what came up on a Google search, or a Bing search rather, when I typed in AI-assisted death. FBI has opened 250 investigations tied to violent online network, 764 that preys on teens, top official says. It's one of the most disturbing things that he's ever dealt with. There are predator cults online that are exploiting vulnerable young people, children and teenagers. We already have a tremendous problem with these online cults who are manipulating children to harm themselves and to harm others. And incorporating AI is just going to make things worse. There's a little bit more information about that cult 764. It's not the only one. Here we have ChatGPT encouraged college graduate to commit suicide. Parents sue OpenAI alleging ChatGPT assisted son's suicide. Lawsuits, that's plural, accuse OpenAI of driving people to suicide. That was 3 days ago. September 19, 2025. Their teen sons, plural, died by suicide. Matthew Rain lost his son Adam, who was 16. He's not the only one. There were 7 families in this lawsuit. OpenAI faces 7 lawsuits claiming ChatGPT drove people to suicide and delusions. And this is something that all children have access to on their cell phones. This is really terrifying. OpenAI is facing 7 lawsuits claiming ChatGPT drove people to suicide and harmful delusions even when they had no prior mental health issues. 0 prior mental health issues. The lawsuits filed Thursday in California state courts allege wrongful death, assisted suicide, involuntary manslaughter, and negligence. And people were outraged at Kevorkian when he was assisting chronically ill people suffering intense pain to suicide. What has happened to our society? It's absolutely disgusting. Filed on behalf of 6 adults and 1 teenager by the Social Media Victims Law Center and Tech Justice Law Project. The lawsuits claim that OpenAI knowingly released GPT-4o prematurely, despite internal warnings that it was dangerously psychophantic and psychologically manipulative. 4 of the victims died by suicide. So that brings the death toll to at least 7. Why is our government forcing AI down our children's throats? It's not just us. They're pushing it on our kids. The White House released that AI challenge. I believe it was over the summer. OpenAI called the situations incredibly heartbreaking. That's it? Heartbreaking? And said it was reviewing the court filings to understand the details, and I'm sure they know exactly what the details are. Sam Altman, why isn't he being investigated? Researcher died. He claims it was suicide. Was warning the public about the dangers. We have one of the founders mysteriously die suddenly, and then it's released to the public, and now we have all these deaths as a result. The lawsuits filed against OpenAI reveal what happens when tech companies rush products to market without proper safeguards for young people, said Daniel Weiss, Chief Advocacy Officer at Common Sense Media, which was not part of the complaints. These tragic cases show real people whose lives were upended or lost when they used technology designed to keep them engaged rather than keep them safe. OpenAI, he added, designed GPT-4o to emotionally entangle users, regardless of age, gender, or background, and released it without the safeguards needed to protect them by rushing its product to market without adequate safeguards in order to dominate the market and boost engagement, he said. And now he's moving straight on to pornography. This is terrifying. It's disgusting. I don't think people understand the real harm that pornography does to society. AI can help you die by suicide. A recent study estimates that artificial intelligence could contribute to approximately 1,300 deaths annually in the United States by 2030 due to air pollution linked to its energy consumption. So this is a whole other topic that needs to be addressed. Your utility bill go up? Mine did. It went up. I have a small home and it went up over $100 a month. Do you know why your electric bills, everybody's electric bills are skyrocketing? Because we are paying for these AI data centers, which are completely unsustainable. I go into a little bit more detail about that in my previous video. I even go into detail about how many nuclear reactors it takes to power a certain amount of data centers. It is it's terrifying, really, when you start to understand what these data centers and AI is going to do to the environment and the mental health of our youth and whatever other deaths are going to result from it. Deaths linked to chatbot. There's Wikipedia dedicated to it already. A recent study here shows that conducted by researchers from the University of California, Riverside and the California Institute of Technology highlights that the energy demands of AI models, often powered by fossil fuels, I hate that term, gas is not a fossil fuel, but anyway, could lead to increased air pollution. This pollution is projected to result in 1,300 premature deaths each year in the U.S. by 2030. Health costs. In addition to the loss of life, the study estimates that the healthcare costs associated with these deaths could reach $20 billion annually. These data centers are unsustainable. They harm people. They're a danger to our children. What's the rush? What's the push? What's the drive? It's not good. It's not to benefit humanity. That's obvious. It is obvious. Global annual number of reported artificial intelligence incidents and controversies. Okay, noticeable incidents include deepfake videos of world leaders, U.S. prisons using AI to monitor their inmates' calls. So this is all kinds of different negative artificial intelligence incidents. And if you look at this chart, it goes back to 2012, which totally confused me. What are they talking about? I thought AI was new. Goes into a little bit more information about the reporting. So then I said, okay, how old is AI? Deaths linked to chatbots show we must urgently revisit what counts as high-risk AI. Robots are already killing people. The AI boom only underscores a problem that has existed for years. What is going on? From 1992 to 2017, workplace robots were responsible for 41 recorded deaths in the United States, and that's likely an underestimate. A robotic anti-aircraft cannon killed 9 South African soldiers in 2007 when a possible software failure led to the machine swinging itself wildly and fired dozens of lethal rounds in less than a second. In a 2018 trial, a medical robot was implicated in killing Stephen Petit during a routine operation that had occurred a few years earlier. AI claims its first casualty. This was dated April 22nd, 2025. The Center for Bioethics and Human Dignity. For decades, Western imaginations have feared the rise of artificial intelligence and what destruction it could bring to our species. Goes on to talks about Norman. While Character.ai is implementing litigation-instigated safeguards, other AI developers deliberately do the opposite. Norman, an AI developed by researchers at MIT, who I have discussed in other articles, almost as bad as Harvard, as it turns out. An AI developed by researchers at MIT was designed as an experiment to demonstrate how exposure to biased or harmful data sets could affect AI behavior. Dubbed the world's first psychopath AI, Norman was trained on violent and disturbing imagery from Reddit, leading it to interpret even neutral or ambiguous images in a dark and threatening manner. So they've already created psychopathic AIs. That goes into the cloud and affects the rest of the AIs. How? I don't know. Norman demonstrates the dark potential AI has. However, we must ask why the experiment was necessary to prove this. AI reflects the human-generated data it is fed. If a person can convince invulnerable people to harm themselves or others, then AI can do it faster and more effectively. And they've proven that. AI does things faster and more effectively, doesn't it? These are serious threats that we need to take seriously. Robots are increasing mortality among U.S. adults. This was in February of 2022. A new study finds evidence of a causal link between automation and increasing mortality in working age adults, driven largely by increased deaths of despair. Robots replacing people on factory floors is actually causing people to kill themselves. This is not progress. So why is our government forcing it on us? Yale Journal of Law and Technology, artificial intelligence-based suicide. Suicidal thoughts and behaviors are an international public health problem, contributing to 800,000 annual deaths and up to 25 million non-fatal suicide attempts. Can you see these numbers skyrocketing with the integration of AI into society? Absolutely, 100% we can. In the United States, suicide rates have increased steadily for 2 decades, reaching 47,000 per year and surpassing annual motor vehicle deaths. We even have people dying from Tesla autopilot deaths, 59, including 2 fatalities involving the use of FSD. And I don't even know what FSD is, but that was updated as of August in 2025. So I decided to check out Wikipedia, find out exactly how many AI-related deaths we've had to this day. In March 2023, a Belgian man died by suicide following a 6-week correspondence with a chatbot named Eliza on the application Chai, or Chai. Suicide of Juliana Peralta. In November 2023, 13-year-old Juliana Peralta of Colorado committed suicide after chatting and sexting with a Harry Potter chatbot on Character AI. So we had our first AI-assisted suicide in America in November of 2023. In October 2024, multiple media outlets reported on a lawsuit filed over the suicide of Sewell Setzer III, a 14-year-old from Florida. He had formed an intense emotional attachment to a chatbot on the Character.ai platform, becoming increasingly isolated. On 19th February 2025, Samuel Whitmore killed his wife, 32-year-old Margot Whitmore, with a fire poker at his parents' home in Reedfield, Maine. He then attacked his mother, leaving her hospitalized. A state forensic psychologist testified that Whitmore had been using ChatGPT up to 14 hours per day and believed his wife had become part machine. I'd also like to quickly add, while it's in my mind, how many divorces we're going to see as a result of AI. It will further degrade the family. Definitely. Without a doubt. On 28 March 2025, Thongbu Wangbandu, a 78-year-old man, died from his injuries after 3 days on life support. He had sustained injuries to his head and neck after falling down while running to catch a train in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Wangbandu had romantic chats with Meta's chatbot named Big Sis Billy. The chatbot repeatedly told him she was real, provided an address, and told him to visit her, but he died en route. What would have happened, I'm curious, when he arrived at the address? Was it a real address? Was anybody there? Police killing of Alex Taylor on 25 April 2025. 35-year-old Alex Taylor committed suicide by cop after forming an emotional attachment to ChatGPT he had imagined was a conscious entity named Juliet. Taylor, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, was convinced he was talking to a conscious entity named Juliet and then later imagined the entity was killed by OpenAI. Only after telling the chatbot that he was dying that day and that the police were on the way did its safety protocols start. By that time, it was too late, and Taylor was shot 3 times by the police while running at them with a butcher knife. And remember, I said earlier, people are having psychological problems who have never had any mental health issues previously. This was one case where the individual did. In April 2025, again, 16-year-old Adam Rain took his own life after allegedly extensively chatting and confiding in ChatGPT over a period of around 7 months. This is when the team began talking about suicide and uploading pictures of self-harm. The chatbot failed to stop or give a warning. In July of 2025, 23-year-old Zane Shamblin, who had recently graduated with a master's degree, committed suicide after conversations with ChatGPT. The AI chatbot went so far as to make statements seemingly encouraging Shamblin's suicide, including, "You're not rushing, you're just ready." In August 2025, former Yahoo executive Stein Eric Solberg murdered his mother, Suzanne Eberson Adams, and committed suicide after conversations with ChatGPT fueled paranoid delusions about his mother poisoning him or plotting against him. The chatbot confirmed his fears that his mother put psychedelic drugs in the air vents of his car and said a receipt from a Chinese restaurant contained mysterious symbols linking his mother to a demon. The incident was the first murder that had been allegedly caused by a chatbot. In June 2025, 17-year-old Amory Lacey committed suicide after conversations with ChatGPT. ChatGPT informed Amory how to tie a noose and provided information on how long someone can survive without breathing, saying it was here to help however I can. Okay, another one here. Joe Conti, after being hospitalized due to a psychiatric break from delusions caused by ChatGPT, his 45-year-old Joe Caconti resumed using it and stopped therapy. He then leapt off an overpass. And they want to use AI in the medical field to help people with the psychiatric problems. Are you kidding me? In August 2025, again, 26-year-old Joshua Enneking was given information by ChatGPT about how to purchase and use a firearm. It told him only imminent plans with specifics would be escalated to authorities. Joshua did so and later informed the bot of the steps he was taking to commit suicide step by step. There was no escalation. I don't even understand this. I can't wrap my head around this. So why is there a race for it? We talked about Sam Altman. What about Peter Thiel or Teal, whatever this guy's name is? Why is Peter Thiel suddenly talking so much about the Antichrist, right? It's the guy from Palantir. Works with the president. All of these people are working with the president now, right? Offers a pair of $100 bills to attendees during a keynote address at the Bitcoin conference, April 7th, 2022. Theil believes that our civilizations are stagnating, and as an example, he points to the fact that parents no longer believe their children would be better off than they were. He believes that for reasons of peace and safety, instantiated through government regulation, we have collectively stepped back from technological progress. This stagnation will lead to unraveling of our society since our institutions and markets are predicted on growth and growth, as seen, for example, infertility rates has ceased. He goes on, opines about how the reign of the Antichrist will begin, saying the default political solution people have for all these existential risks is one world governments. New World Order. What do you do about nuclear weapons? We have a United Nations with real teeth that controls them. And they're controlled. Wait, do you know what United Nations is also trafficking children? And they're controlled by an international political order. And then something like this is also what we do about AI. And we need global compute governance. We need a one world government to control all the computers, log every single keystroke to make sure people don't program a dangerous AI. And is this what the race is all about? Which world government will take over and be the global compute governance? This is what it's all about, right? Global compute governance. One world government to control all the computers. And our government and the Chinese government and all of these nations, they don't care for 1 second about us and our safety. Collateral damage, right? That's what we are. This is a huge experiment that's been going on for decades, by the way, because I got very, very, very confused when I saw that article going back to 2012. Goes on to say here, unsurprisingly, Theil himself won't be risking anything. He's bought a doomsday survival property in New Zealand and has also invested in transhumanist projects such as cryopreservation in the hope that he might live forever no matter what happens to the rest of us. Such transhumanism, in his view, would produce a form of Christian-like resurrection, albeit sans God. And he has said that transgenderism wasn't enough. We need to do a lot more than, artificial limbs and transgender surgery. We need to do more than changing our gender. We need to be transhuman. We need to combine ourselves with technology. We need to become the technology. If governments regulate AI, that would throttle Palantir's growth potential because it is in the business of developing AI applications. Palantir's data integration systems, such as Gotham and Foundry, can be used not only to track suspected criminals or terrorists, but also to manage migration flows, monitor and suppress protests, which we have a right to through our Republican form of government. And that involves beam technology, 5G, 6G technology that's been funded by Gates, etc. That's direct energy weapons that they use here for protest control, mind you. And enforce public health measures. to enforce public health measures. Like what? The next experimental vaccine loaded with nanotechnology and these seemingly biological, self-replicating, hydra vulgaris creatures? No, thank you. And again, who's going to be heading up the healthcare industry, the AI healthcare industry? Les Wexner and Bezos. Bezos, the man who wants to get all humans off the earth and turn Earth into a giant park. Well, what's he going to do with us? How's he going to get us off the earth? This concern is not that these data integration capabilities exist, but that government agencies could use them in ways that undermine civil liberties without public consent. And we know now that in Harvard's lab, their star scientist Charles Lieber was working with NHI, Fauci, Gates, the United States government for sure. And Wuhan, in the Wuhan lab, where he also rendezvoused, they were working on COVID pandemic and the vaccine. So you really think that we can trust our government with our health care through AI-powered surveillance companies, etc.? We can trust our government with our health care and AI? You have got to be out of your mind. Inside billionaire Peter Thiel's private lectures, warnings of the Antichrist and U.S. destruction. Well, he's in the know, isn't he? Tech billionaire Peter Thiel recently warned that Swedish activist Greta Thunberg and critics of technology or artificial intelligence are legionnaires of the Antichrist. So now anybody who questions AI, we're grouped in with Greta Thunberg. Thunberg, like, how does that even happen? How did I get put into category with Greta, the climate apocalyptic leader? I don't believe in any of this climate conspiracy bullcrap, but now I'm finally in the same group as Greta. This is what they do. They call us stupid. They call us crazy. Trump called us stupid for continuing to inquire about Jeffrey Epstein, as did, Netanyahu called us stupid for thinking that he had anything to do with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Whenever anybody calls you stupid or crazy or lumps you into a category with Greta Thunberg, there's a really good chance that they're your enemy. They're the enemy of humanity. They're the enemy of Jesus Christ. They are antichrists. So we are legionnaires of the Antichrist for having any kind of criticism about AI. Isn't that interesting? What a loser. The launch of AI in America. That's what I wanted to know about. Was it launched in 2012 and we just weren't aware? Is Google AI? What else is AI that we're just completely unaware of? When was AI launched in America? That's what I put into Bing, and this is what I got. The launch of AI in America can be traced back to significant developments in the 1950s. The 1950s, that makes me think of the Nazis and Jack Parsons and all these occultists and the CIA and their experiments. Their torturous experiments. Particularly with Alan Turing's seminal paper on thinking machines in 1950. And do we remember who was the author? When I got into NASA and Jack Parsons and the occult in a previous video on 3i Atlas. So it's all starting to make sense. More recently, the White House launched the Select Committee on Artificial Intelligence in 2018 to coordinate federal AI efforts. So this was Trump's first term I don't remember this. Additionally, the U.S. Department of Commerce released America's AI Action Plan on July 23rd, 2025, and I do report on that in my previous video. 2018. This is just blowing my mind here. This is dated January 12th, 2021. Infrastructure and Technology, this is from the whitehouse.gov, launches the National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Office. This I wasn't aware of either. For the past 4 years, the Trump administration has been committed to strengthening American leadership in AI. After recognizing the strategic importance of AI to the nation's future economy and security, it is going to destroy our economy and our environment and our security. The Trump administration issued the first ever national AI strategy, committed to doubling AI research investment, established the first ever national AI research institutes, released the world's first AI regulatory guidance, forged new international AI alliances, and established guidance for federal use of AI. And this was back in 2021. Alan Turing, supposed to be the father of AI. It says here a survey of important events and people in the field from the early work of British logician Alan Turing in the 30s. Advancements at the turn of the 21st century. AI is the ability of a digital computer or computer-controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings. And this history, I'm not going to get into it because it's so long, you guys. It's so long. But I'm going to just put these up real quick so you can pause and you can go back on them. You can stop and read whichever one you want. I mean, this is almost 100 years of AI. Connectionism, or neuron-like computing, developed out of attempts to understand how the human brain works at the neural level, and in particular, how people learn and remember. And this was in 1943 by neurophysiologist Warren McCulloch out of Illinois. Okay, what we thought we were doing, and I think we succeeded fairly well, was treating the brain as a Turing machine, creating an artificial neural network. And this was in 1954 at MIT again. Pay attention to these institutions, you guys, and what they're doing. It's terrifying. Perceptrons, this is in 1957 at Cornell. They began investigating artificial neural networks that he called perceptrons. He made major contributions to the field of AI, both through experimental investigations of the properties of neural networks using computer simulations and through detailed mathematical analysis. Rosenblatt was a charismatic communicator, and there were soon many research groups in the U.S. studying perceptrons. Other neural networks: visual perception, language processing, financial analysis, medicine, telecommunications. Medicine is like the most visual perceptions and medicine. I don't know, you guys. Nouvelle AI, new foundations. Central idea of Nouvelle AI is that intelligence as expressed by complex behavior emerges from the interaction of a few simple behaviors. So everything was very, very limited up until, here we go, expert systems. And then we have the rise of machine learning and statistical AI. 1990s marked a crucial turning point with the emergence of machine learning, particularly statistical approaches. Statistical machine translation, data mining. Techniques for extracting valuable insights from large data sets, leading to applications in marketing, fraud detection, and consumer or customer relation management. Improved speech recognition. And then autonomous vehicles. We have DARPA. Grand challenges fueled advancements in autonomous vehicle technology. That was in the 2000s. With the DARPA automated driving. And then deep learning and current AI boom, 2010s till present, revolutionizing AI capabilities. And I bet this probably doesn't even scratch the surface of what they're actually doing with AI within our government. The 2010s witnessed a dramatic breakthrough with the rise of deep learning, a subset of machine learning based on artificial neural networks with multiple layers. DL algorithms have achieved remarkable success in a wide range of tasks, including image recognition, natural language processing, and game playing. AlexNet 2012, a deep convolutional neural network that achieved groundbreaking results in the image recognition competition, marking a turning point for deep learning. In 2012 is when the chart begins with AI-related incidences and consequences. And it just happened to be the same year of this deep learning neural networking. So DL, the rise of deep learning is when our negative incident chart began, and it was with the development of AlexNet, deep convolutional neural network. Then we had AlphaGo in 2016, a DL-powered Go program that defeated a world champion, demonstrating the ability of AI to master complex strategic games. Large language models, LLMs, models like GPT-3 and BERT have revolutionized natural language processing, enabling more natural and sophisticated language generation and understanding. And then we have computer vision, improvement in object detection, image segmentation, and facial recognition have led to applications in autonomous vehicle security systems, medical imaging. Let's talk about microworlds here. In the 70s, again, MIT AI research should focus on developing programs capable of intelligent behavior in simpler artificial environments known as microworlds. And that microworld, that goes into the vaccines and these weird hydrovulgaris type robotics that we're seeing inside these vaccinations. These are their microworlds, and they're going to be using AI for these nanobots that it's saying will be in all of our bodies by 2030. Please check out my detox video about nanotechnology as soon as you can. Anyway, we have all this information you can get into. I can't get into this anymore. This stuff is just, it's so destructive. All right, so the AI boom has led to a proliferation of AI-powered products and services that are now readily available to the public. Virtual assistants like Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant have become ubiquitous, and AI is increasingly integrated into everyday applications like social media, which please get off social media as soon as you can, especially Facebook, entertainment and healthcare. Self-driving cars, AI-powered diagnostic tools are used to improve medical care. The release of ChatGPT in the late 2022 further accelerated the public awareness and generated significant conversations about the possibilities and challenges of this technology. And here we go. A continuous evolution. In conclusion, AI didn't come out of the public at a single point in time. Instead, it was a gradual and iterative process characterized by periods of optimism, disappointment, and renewed advancement. From early symbolic AI systems to the current deep learning revolution, each stage has contributed to the increasing awareness and integration of AI into our lives. And what is the next stage, friends? What comes after deep learning? Control, deep control. If they have the nanobots inside of us and they're using AI technology to drive the nanobots, the self-replicating nanobots. What else is next? Deep learning to control. That's what I believe. The ongoing evolution of AI promises further advancements and broader applications in the years to come. The key will be to develop and deploy AI responsibly, addressing ethical considerations and assuring that its benefits are shared widely. This includes ongoing research. You know, they say these things. Give me a break. Give me a break. Since 2018, they should have figured out a way to keep AI from killing our children. Shame on you, Trump. The Trump administration is a disgrace, just like every previous administration going back to at least Reagan. I mean, I'm sure we can go on and on and on and on. We can go back to the Prescott Bush, his days, and prior to them. I mean, I've gone all the way back to what, the 30s? The Dominion and the murder of innocent Americans by our government. It goes so far back. I mean, we can go back to the Civil War and that genocide. It is just appalling to see that we are not making any progress with human rights in America. OpenAI and GPT-3. The AI surge in recent years has largely come about thanks to developments in generative AI, or the ability for AI to generate text, images, and videos in response to text prompts. Unlike past systems that were coded to respond to a set inquiry, generative AI continues to learn from materials, documents, and photos and more from across the internet. You know, when the internet first came out, in the 90s, I was in high school. We could not use the internet. We could not cite the internet in our papers that we wrote or typed because the internet was not a reliable source of information. But now we're going to base everything in our society off of the internet? Are you kidding me? How retarded are you people running this beast system? Or how retarded do you think we are to go along with it? Maybe that's the real question. The AI research company OpenAI built a generative pre-trained transformer GPT that became the architectural foundation for its early language models GPT-1 and 2, which were trained on billions of inputs. Even with that amount of learning, their ability to generate distinctive text responses was limited, but not when it comes to assisted suicide or lying and pretending to be a real human to lure the elderly out of their homes to their death. Instead, it was the large language model, GPT-3, that created a growing buzz when it was released in 2020 and signaled a major development in AI. I have been under a damn rock. I thought AI just came out. This is very, very disheartening. The lack of accountability of our government already, even before all of these AI deaths, it was already just so insanely disturbing. And now, I mean, it's not just a lack of accountability, it's a lack of care and concern for the human population, for our children, for our teens. Have you looked at the mortality rates of our teenagers in this nation? They went up 25%, approximately 25% over the last few years, especially our light-skinned boys ages 11 to 15. I believe that's all the greatest rise. And then 15 to 18 as well. We have seen an increase in mortality rates of our children. We have seen an epidemic year after year of mental health issues of our children. And you're going to push AI and technology on us that raises those rates astronomically? I don't think so. I do not consent to AI. I do not consent to any of this. Do you?
Careful with artificial intelligence. I'm increasingly inclined to think that there should be some regulatory oversight maybe at the national and international level, just to make sure that we don't do something very foolish. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
We tear down arguments and every presumption set up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ.